Hello, good day to our viewers, and welcome. This is your host, Siddhant Kari from Counterpoint Research, and today we are diving into HGP.32, GSMA's next generation eSIM standard for IoT, which is set to reshape the industry as we know it. Today, to help us understand what it means, not just for the operators, for enterprises, for the entire IoT ecosystem, we have with us an eSIM expert, Detlef Parks from Aquilos. Hello, Detlef. Great to see you again.
Hello, Siddhant. Thank you for having me. And it's great talking to you about this latest eSIM standard today and how companies can prepare for the changes it will bring.
Absolutely. It's great to have you again, Detlef, with us for this particular session. Aquilos has just released a new white paper, which is on the role of independent eIMs in the HGP.32 ecosystem. So, just to set the stage for our viewers and our audience, why at this particular moment and why is it this particular time right to focus not just on independent eIMs, which your white paper discusses on, but the entire HGP.32 standard, which is ready for commercialization next year?
Yes, we have published the white paper now because SGP32 is moving from theory into real projects. So companies are preparing new IoT products and really want to understand what has changed. And the key point is that SGP32 has been specifically designed for cellular IoT and for modern IoT devices. It replaces static processes with the dynamic orchestration, and most importantly, it doesn't require the complex integrations of the old M2M standard, so-called SGP02, which turned out to not to be working for a lot of IoT applications. At the center of SGP32 is this new backend management component called the eIM, the Remote eSIM for IoT Manager. Now, the eIM decides which profile goes to which device, when it is delivered, and under which conditions. And in this way, it enables zero-touch onboarding and the fully automated connectivity lifecycle management of your entire device fleet. So in our white paper, we explain how and why owning your eIM is so important. Because this really is where the intelligence of your connectivity strategy sits.
Who sets to stand, as the most beneficiary party from this particular update into, the whole architecture that is being reformed as we know it?
Yes. As you already said in the introduction, it influences pretty much every player in the entire ecosystem. We see main four groups. For one, there are the national MNOs, operators who want to offer advanced services, naturally. And then there are the IoT MVNOs that also want to offer the services, but they also require independence of their host operators. Another group are providers of connectivity management or also device management solutions. And they need to add eSIM orchestration to their solution stack, which then is offered to the end customer. And last but not least, importantly, IoT enterprises and the IoT OEMs, who can now directly control the connectivity lifecycle of their devices. So in summary, if you run cellular IoT connectivity at scale, an eIM will be a key part of your setup.
Right. I mean, that's the four pillars of, delivering connectivity as we know it. And whenever we have this conversation within ourselves in Aquilos and Counterpoint Connect over this, you always describe that SGP.32 is a framework. It's more fluid. It's not fixed. It's not rigid. So why is that particular distinction of understanding SGP.32 is a framework? Why is it so important for the overall ecosystem to understand and know?
Yes, this is important because the framework gives vendors choices. Each vendor can decide which option of the standard to implement, and this creates flexibility but also variation between the suppliers. Right. And if you use a bundled eIM that comes with your hardware supplier, your orchestration follows their interpretation of SGP32. their roadmap, their priorities. And this is fine when you have one type of device and one supplier. If you have a variety of devices and multiple suppliers, however, operating your own eIM enables you to choose the option that aligns best with your specific requirements.
Right. And I think that is something that the industry is looking forward to, But coming back and circling back to our original theme, what are the main advantages for operating your independent EIM?
Now we see three concrete advantages here. Number one is control. You own the solution and you decide the setup and the exact configuration of the solution, and everything is designed for your specific needs. Second, and closely linked to the first one, is the freedom to innovate. You can launch new services and design new automation flows without waiting for a specific vendor to support these new innovations. And third, it's about efficiency. If you standardize orchestration across your device fleet, that will reduce long-term integration costs.
Right. So I guess the magic number is three for Akilas when there is tribe in the EIMs. And in these discussions with you and also going through your white paper, you do state that there are two offerings of EIMs that are there in Aculos's portfolio. So what's the difference? I mean, there already so much of complexity within the ecosystem regarding standards itself, and when you introduce something like this in EIMs, I guess it becomes an imperative job for us to ensure that the awareness regarding the standard and its best features is right there in the market.
Yes, we first of all, for organizations that serve a large customer base, we offer a multi-tenant service provider edition. It is built for scale and strict separation of tenants and follows the same model as we apply for our DP Plus, for example. However, for IoT enterprises, there is a specific situation. And then why we have introduced a single tenant edition for this market that comes mainly with a different license model. It's addressing especially cost-sensitive markets, for example, NB-IoT, where integration with external solutions can be prohibitively expensive. So with this model, enterprises can adopt SGP32 and integrate orchestration with their existing systems without adding operational costs. Of course, underlying both editions, the same technology is used, but they are optimized for different needs.
Got it. And then whenever we talk about a new technology, we always say that it's the role of the pioneers to highlight the best practices, and it's how they introduce the best practices, or the big first step is actually very crucial whenever we talk about adoption of a new technology as such. So what would be the big first step that organization would want to take when they want to explore something as independent EIMs?
We believe a good first step is a proof of concept on our cloud-based evaluation platform. It's a risk-free step, and you can test orchestration, you can validate your use cases, and see and experience how everything works before making any long-term decisions. Now, if you do decide to go ahead and implement your own eIM, we can determine together the best scope of the solution for your requirements and then deploy it into the environment of your choice, which can be on public cloud, private cloud, whatever the preference is of your organization.
And I think this pragmatic approach by Aculos, not just introducing best practices, but also introducing new age solutions like independent EIMs for new age solutions like SGP32, is something that is needed by the market, because the market is going to grow so much that there will be need of such specialized solutions by specialized players, which can help not just the adoption as we know it, but also innovation into all of the applications in where cellular IT right now is growing. Thank you, Detlef, for such an insightful counterpoint conversations over your innovative approach with independent EIMs in this era of SGP.32.
Thanks, Ed. It was my pleasure being here today.
And thank you to our viewers of Counterpoint Conversation. And stay tuned for more insights on everything eSIM, IoT, HGB.32, where we bring you the latest insights from across the ecosystem with specialists like Akilos as the helm of it. Stay tuned.